Hello, I'm Anton Wegenast. I'm interviewing here Ash Ismail, game director of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. So, Ash, we're going to play a game, you and I.
Sounds good.
I'm going to pretend that I'm a new player. I've never played any Assassin's Creed game ever. Talk to me about why this might be the game that's going to bring me into the series.
Ooh, good question. All right. When we set out to make this game, I'm going to say something cliche.
Yeah.
We set out to make the best AC game we could possibly make.
Okay.
But the way we did it was we actually looked at previous ACs, and we looked at what worked, and we looked at what people loved, and we read a lot of feedback and listened to our fans, and so we brought a lot of those elements into AC. So the things that worked, assassination, stealth, the cities, the way the navigation works, the verticality, all this stuff. But beyond that, 2 years ago when we started, we knew we were going to ship on next gen, and so we knew we needed to build a game that was actually pushing the limits, pushing our own limits, creating a world that, really people have not played in before, something really different, something that is that people haven't experienced. And this is, I'll say I'm biased, but I say we delivered it. Like a naval open world, a naval sandbox, unlike anything you've seen. Wind Waker was something wonderful. I loved Wind Waker.
Yeah.
But I think we've reached something that's on a level of credibility, on a level of gameplay that is phenomenal. Beyond that, we're making a pirate game. And we, again, told ourselves we need to make a definitive pirate game. So for the newbies, for the people who are new to the franchise, it's a great game to start on. You don't need to have known what happened in the previous games,
okay,
because the story kind of ended in AC3, Desmond's story. We introduce a new concept in this game, and players will learn the narrative as the heroes, as Edward, as the present day hero, which is you, learn the narrative. So it's very friendly on the narrative side. For the fans, there's a lot of depth in the present day where you can flesh out the lore. It's optional content. You can find out what happened to Desmond after AC3. That's all there, but again, you don't need to have known what happened in those games. So if you want to play a pirate game, if you love pirates, if you really want to know what AC is all about, then AC4 is the place to get all this beautiful package.
All right, sounds amazing. So we'll switch gears and talk to me about what fans, hardcore fans, they've 100%, final trophy, final achievement in all previous games. What's new, or what's going to expand upon the previous experiences with the series that Black Flag is going to provide them?
Yeah, so for our hardcore fans, there's so first off, like I said, in the present day, there's tons of content to find, and it's optional content. But there's a lot of it out there, and you can spend hours looking for it, and there's some really gratifying stuff in there. But that's the present day. For the past, for the assassin, for Edward, the whole pirate thematic, it's really strong. You feel that Edward is a pirate. You do a lot of activities that are very piratey. So, for example, raiding plantations, raiding forts, doing boardings. There's a brand new environment, which is the underwater. We have cenotes and caves. Just the locations and the different variety that we have. It's stuff that people have not seen. The level of mixing natural environments with man-made structures. We learned a lot from AC3. And so we're able to apply that knowledge and go even deeper on it and have really intense, cool environments. And of course, I think one of the strongest elements that we pushed hard on is stealth. We do listen to our fans. We paid attention to what people were saying about the stealth, and they wanted to see an improvement. And so we've worked hard on it, giving the player more tools, so brand new tools like the blowpipe with Berserk and sleep darts, and enhancing the eagle vision so that it's actually a really strong tool. We know this was a weakness in the past. On many different levels, from iterating on systems that exist to bringing brand new stuff to the world structure itself, which for me is the best thing we've done on Black Flag is the world structure. I think there's a lot for fans out there. You're going to be able to spend, the main path is 15 to 20 hours, but if you want to be a completionist, if you want to get everything and collect everything, right now we have a tester who spent about 65 hours in the game,
wow,
and he hasn't even finished upgrading the jackdaw. Just the jackdaw by itself, he hasn't finished yet.
Okay.
So there's a lot. I'm sure, if people spend 100 hours in this world, wonderful. I'm happy.
Okay, excellent. All right, so talk to me a bit about how you spent your time fleshing out this world and how you integrated the different, I mean, just playing the game, there's so much to do. You've got this open ocean world that you can navigate in the ship. You've got towns you can explore. How did you link them all together to build a world? Was there research done to make sure that everything felt authentic to the time period?
Yeah, there was, I mean, on multiple levels, there was a lot of stuff done, for the Pirate Republic. Again, our view of it was to do something gritty, something authentic, because it's a really phenomenal history. So we did a lot of research, reading books, reading biographies, getting historians to come into the project very early on during conception and explain how boarding worked. How did the flintlock pistol, how was it used, why was it valuable, what were the tactics, the strategies, all this stuff, and we tried to implement as much of it as we can while remaining a game. One thing I always say is that Assassin's Creed is not about realism, it's about credibility and authenticity. And so it is a video game. We want to make it comfortable and fun.
Yeah.
But we put a lot of history into it. We put a lot of stuff that will, if you do the research, you'll see that this is quite fairly accurate. Our boarding system is really accurate to what boarding really was. So there's that. From the environment perspective, we had our art director, our level design director go down to the Caribbean. They spent time all over. It must have been a phenomenal trip.
Yeah, what an awful assignment.
Yeah, terrible job. The game industry is hard work. It's really so they did a lot of research. They took tons of photos. Our audio guys actually went as well, and they recorded animal life, the way the foliage sounded. Even they had a torrential downpour at some point. They recorded what it sounded like. So, as I said, the AC authenticity is part of our DNA. It's very important for us, and so we put in the effort, we put in the money to go and research this kind of stuff for sure. The locations of the world. I mean, we start with a very accurate base, and then we tweak it to make it a fun game.
Okay.
And this is what we did with the world structure. Generally speaking, stuff is where it's supposed to be. Maybe we've tweaked the locations, tweaked the sizes to make it fit the game world properly. But again, it's credible. That was our goal.
Okay. And talk to me a bit about focus. Assassin's Creed 4 introduces a whole new underwater environment. Previous games, it was very methodical. Like this assassin would go through a very, set pattern in order to pull off the best executions, or to stalk their prey. From a hardcore fan's perspective, how much time are they going to spend in between the different sort of byways that they can explore with maybe familiar gameplay? So is there going to be a larger focus on world exploration, or you mentioned stealth is a big focus that's come back into the series. So talk a bit about how the series is sort of wrapping everything together but shifting focus perhaps.
Yeah, so the way the world, the narrative and the world work is that you have your main path, and the main path really takes you on, a classic way of telling an AC story. So you're this character, you get introduced to the assassins, and you go on some kind of training, and so you have targets to take out, and of course Edward has his own personal motivations for everything, and you play this out. And this, I think people will feel a familiarity with how the story is being told. Everything that has to do with the underwater, all the different locations, a lot of it is not in the main path.
Okay.
So it's there for the people that want to explore this world, for the people that want to upgrade the jackdaw. So if you're someone that really cares about assassination, there's a whole branch of assassination contracts. If you're someone who wants to upgrade the jackdaw, there's tons of ways of gaining the resources you need. And one of the coolest things when we have our playtest right now, what we saw is we did a charting of how people collected money in our game.
Okay.
And we saw that it was literally, we asked their opinion of where do you think you could make money in the game? And the answers were all over the place. And what was cool about that was that it showed that people absorb the content, people play the game the way they want. And this was one of our key objectives from the beginning, is even in the missions, in the open world, you play as you wish. You want to be stealthy, you have that option. You want to go in guns blazing, that's up to you. And so we put a lot of effort on that. We do a lot less hand-holding in AC4. So if you want to go through the story and do the big assassinations, nothing's stopping you. If you want to explore all the underwaters, we have one underwater location in the main path. The rest are all optional.
Okay.
There's a lot of good stuff to find in there. We're not telling you don't do it. We don't force it down your throat.
Okay.
So that's our philosophy on it.
Okay. And talk to me a bit about feedback. You mentioned earlier about fan feedback and how that went a lot into the development of Assassin's Creed 4. So what are some of the things? You mentioned Eagle Vision is a lot more useful. And you mentioned some other things that maybe fans might be looking for improvement, or things that they really didn't like, and it's, you're happy to say it's gone, don't worry about it anymore. Or it's tweaked significantly so that the problems you had before are gone. So, how did fan feedback factor in?
So as I said, stealth was one of the big ones. Stealth was really one of the big ones. We knew we had to do an improvement on that. And I mentioned earlier how we did that. Excuse me. Another area was the fight. To promote stealth, you need to be a little bit afraid for your safety.
Yeah.
So we've made the fight a bit harder. And this was another feedback, that maybe the fight was a bit too easy for some people. So we tweaked the fight to be a bit harder, to promote stealth and to give a bit more challenge. So this was one area. Another was the navigation of the character. People are going to be familiar with the controls. The controls haven't changed, but we've tweaked a lot the speed of the character, how fast he climbs, how fast he reacts to things. He's much more responsive. The level design of the world. Again, we looked at AC2 and we said AC2 for us had some of the best cities, the most classic AC cities. When we think what is an AC city, AC2 is the first game that comes to mind.
Yeah.
So Havana, Nassau, Kingston were built with this mentality.
Okay.
They're not built exactly like those cities, it's just with that the mentality that was used, the philosophies that were used. So I think people are gonna love playing in those cities, navigating in them. This is a little bit of it. We read a lot of feedback about the naval, what people liked, what didn't work. Even though there was a lot of positive stuff, we really looked at what was uncomfortable, what did people want more of, what did people want less of. One system that we totally just removed from the game because we felt it didn't add to the experience, and I'm not sure that many fans loved, really, was notoriety. It's a cool concept, but it added a lot of complexity to the rules of how detection works and all this. So we just took it out completely. That was one of those systems that we felt, okay, we don't need this.
Okay. And talk to me a bit about the ships, because it seems like the ships in the game are almost an entire set of cast characters on their own, right? So you've got the player-controlled ship, and you've got other ships that might have allegiances to other countries, or they might be traders, or you can judge by the flags where they come from. So how did you build character onto things that are technically inanimate objects?
Yeah. You know what? That actually was a massive effort. It took a long time to, first off, when you see a ship, to even understand what class of ship it is. That actually it went months of iteration to get that right. But we had to do this because it is a game. People need to be able to understand certain things very quickly. Just by seeing something, they need to understand its allegiance. Is it a threat? How big of a threat? If it's a threat, we needed this stuff to happen, with a blink of the eye. And so we worked a lot on the shape of the ship, the silhouette, the colors. And we had a methodology of, the first thing people notice is shape.
Yeah.
So the shape for us denotes the challenge level, because we felt that this was the most important thing that a player needed to know. Am I in trouble with that ship, yes or no?
Yeah.
So that's the shape. The color denotes its allegiance. So once you start looking at the details and reading the ships, like, okay, he's a Spanish ship and he's going to attack me. So there was a lot of effort done on this, and it went through a lot of play testing, many iterations on our side, a lot of back and forth and headbutting a bit. It happens. But it was really important that we create unique archetypes for those vessels. It was important.
Okay. And then lastly, talk to me a bit about the player-controlled ship and how you can spend your time upgrading it, because that players will be familiar with upgrading their assassinations type weapons. Talk to me a bit about the upgrades that you can perform on the ship itself.
Sure. So the upgrades on the Jackdaw, it's much closer to an RPG.
Okay.
So you can upgrade all the weapons of the Jackdaw. There's 7 weapons. You can upgrade all of them, multiple levels. Each level, obviously, the cost goes up, and at some point you need gold, but you also need resources like metal and wood. So that's the weapons. You can upgrade the hull, so for your defense. You can upgrade utility stuff like the amount of crew that you can have on the ship. You can upgrade the cargo that you can carry, how much of it you can carry. There's actually many. You can upgrade the harpooning, the rowboat for the harpooning, the number of harpoons, the damage of the harpoons. There's a crazy amount of upgrading to do in this game. So it was important because we felt that once you have this motivation to upgrade, it gets you to explore the world. It gets you to look for the resources you need. And once you do that, you realize, like, okay, I need to go to that island to get, I need 100 metal, and that island has 100 metal, but there's a massive ship in front of it, so I need to upgrade the ship to go there. And so the progression system was really used to promote the exploration and traveling the world and checking out all the different content.
All right. Sounds exciting. Sounds like a new fleshed out area of Assassin's Creed that people haven't gotten a chance to fully explore yet. And it sounds like you've really done a good job fleshing out that.
I hope so. We needed. I think we always need to freshen things up and bring an experience that excites people and surprises people. It's our job to do this, and the game's almost done.
Yeah.
And I sincerely hope we succeeded, and I'm looking forward to fans telling us if we did or not.
Exactly, and you can't really go wrong with pirates. I mean,
No,
it's a fan favorite every time.
Exactly.
All right, so this is Ash, game director, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag.
Awesome.
Good to meet you.
Thank you.
And look for that game coming up on the next-gen consoles and current-gen as well.
Check out Press2Reset.com for news, podcasts, reviews, and more for all of your gaming needs.